It means stop.
That's what red
well,
means.
It's flashing, so it's like
stop
be
a lot.
ready to stop.
Be ready to stop.
Right?
Yes.
Isn't that what a flashing red means?
Go ahead and stop.
Like go ahead.
Go ahead and not say it. Go ahead and shut
What?
up about it.
What?
That's what Michael Scott says.
Oh.
With his
right,
notes?
With his notes.
Go ahead and shut up about
his
it.
Rolodex that he
Yes.
used. That's what was green? Green?
No. It was like, he said the thing, but he's like, but it said green. It's like, yeah, green means go ahead and shut up about it.
That's right.
Or go ahead and don't say it or something like that.
That's right.
Of course, Michael
my
Scott.
gosh.
No logic. But
Solid.
anyway, no, this actually means we're recording. I lied.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is all part of the pre-roll, and we're
Yes.
going to get into it then. Oh, well, let's do it then. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 67 of the Goulet Pencast, where fountain pens are still a thing. I am Brian Goulet.
I'm Drew Brown.
And we are here from Goulet Pens. Heretofore, henceforth known as Goulet Pens, to deliver this casual and informal, tangential and extraneous, superfluous and extemporaneous fountain pen show where we talk about what's going on at the Goulet Pen Company and in our fountain pen lives. In today's show, we are going to talk about our new ink sample vial holder. Heyo, that's back after a year and a half. We're going to talk about my 3 favorite blue inks. I actually made some choices. It was not easy, but I did it. And I have some backup options too. But anyway, the best Pilot custom pen model. People want us to make choices today, Drew. How to get rid of inky fingers. I'm assuming the ink from the fingers, not the fingers themselves.
Ooh.
But I don't know. It wasn't
Leave
specific.
it to you to need clarifying questions
try to
on
see
that.
from all angles,
Like,
Drew,
do I have an
you know?
did someone give me a bunch of fingers that have ink on them and I need to find a way
Right.
to covertly dispose
What do you do
of
with
them?
these fingers? Are these human fingers? Are they mannequin fingers? Because that matters. Anyway, we're still in the intro. And we have an open hiring position here at Goulet Pens. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. And we got some other fun things too. So yeah, let's do it. Kick it off with some feedback, shall we?
Let's do it. All right, first bit of listener feedback comes to us from Michael, and Michael says, uncapping the giant Lamy LX, definitely the acme, the apex, the awesome moment in an already great pencast. Hats off to Captain Quark, spelling, for requesting that what we were all dying to see. The reason I like that so much, Brian, is because it was a silly thing that happened because of a listener, reader, watcher, whatever. And another viewer was like, thank you, that guy, for having them do that silly thing. I just love the whole ridiculous camaraderie of it. It just really makes me happy. So
that's right. That's what we're all here
and
for.
yeah, if you are curious to see what a giant decoration of Lamy,
it's like a store display. Lamy Lux.
What looks like when it's decapitated.
And apparently, it spurred a debate as to whether it is a cap or not a cap.
I said it. I said you uncapped, and you're like, well, it's not. I don't.
It's technically not capping anything.
I disagree, but there was also equal amount of disagreement in the. I mean, what you were holding was the cap, right?
Yeah, it represented the cap of the pen.
But it was
it in itself
was it a cap?
There was a fixed structure on the bottom of it, so technically, it's not able to.
So I guess you just decapitated.
If something sits on top, if it's sitting on top of the body of the pen, is it still the cap? Like, I guess so, right? Like, does something have to be inside of it to be a cap?
I don't know. You're coming up with your own. Well, like, there's probably
like a hat, but your head's like sort of inside, but it's sitting on your head. Isn't that what makes it a cap?
Yeah.
What is a cap?
I don't know.
What is a cap? How do we really define what a cap is?
This is the most Brian thing you could be doing in this moment.
This is what I do, everybody. This is why it's so kind of frustrating to be near me.
What is a cap? Oh my God.
I'm the debater. What can I do?
Oh man.
Anyway.
One other thing that I noticed in the comments last week that I loved so much as the nerd inside me started to sing, or like the nerd outside of me, whatever. It's not hiding. There were 2 references to. Remember, I said in the comments that it was episode number 660 or something like that.
Yeah.
There were comments about it being episode 66.
Yes.
And do you know what Order 66 is?
It's a Star Wars reference.
You knew that?
Joseph talks about it all the time. That's the only reason I know. He's into, literally this morning, he got some like Lego minifigure droid thing that he like ordered, because he does this now. He'll order like specific minifigures because he's doing this like battle scene with different like stormtroopers and whatever kind of stuff. Yeah, because we got him like, we have this like low dresser type thing. Dad like the IKEA type stack box, whatever furniture stuff. And I got him those like just big panels of like Lego plates or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
It's just all on top of his
Yeah.
dresser. So his whole dresser is like a Lego play space. And he's like setting up like a Star Wars battle scene on top of it.
Excellent.
But he's like, I don't know, he's a particular kid. Don't know where he gets that from. But he's into getting very specific minifigures to round out his like battle
As you
scenes.
need.
Yeah,
It needs
and
to look
Order 60,
realistic.
Order 66 is something I hear him talk about a lot as I'm kind of like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, cool. That sounds great, buddy.
That was
And
when
it doesn't really like
that was
penetrate
when
into
the clone
brain.
troopers were ordered to betray the Jedis in one fell swoop, one master stroke of evil that turned the tide and changed the galaxy forever.
Gotcha.
Where friends became enemies, allies became villains.
So it's like kind of a big deal, I guess.
Kind of a big deal. So,
Okay.
yes, last week was Order 66.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really appreciated that connection that was reached.
So does that mean we're like last episode we're
So,
like turning
well,
evil now all of a sudden?
At this point, the Clone Wars are over, and now we are the Empire. The reign of the Galactic Empire has begun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
Well,
a dark time. It's a dark time.
Is this like a ballpoint pens versus fountain pens
Somehow,
kind of a situation?
though, we shall find
Like the rebels?
a new hope. All right, your
This is
turn.
where like I really wish I know Star Wars, but I don't know it deep enough to
You know
like,
of
make
Star
like the
Wars.
deep cut references like I normally would want to. I'm like reaching into the abyss of my brain. I'm like, it's like nothing there. Like I don't have anything to grab onto. I can't bring up a cool reference. Oh well,
That's okay.
that's all good.
That was like me coming up with fake African wood names last episode.
That's right, though that's still very entertaining. All right, so A22 Lottie said, calling it now, I think Brian's three favorite blue. Oh, we got a call, a shout out, predicting. Okay, calling it now, I think Brian's three favorite blues are not necessarily in order: Konpeki, Liberty's Elysium, and Blue Water Ice. Well, I'm not going to give a spoiler alert, but you're not that far off. It's pretty close. They're definitely all on the list.
Like in the list of consideration.
In the list of ones that
Okay.
I made, that if you let me talk about more than three, I will definitely mention all three of
no.
those. So it's pretty solid. Mason says, I can totally relate to the chess story, talking about teaching my kids chess. My 8-year-old son wanted to learn out of the blue, so we started playing. I also don't hold back, but it's because I know one day he's going to be able to win every time, and he's already beaten me several times. Wow. All right. So I'm trying to get all the wins I can right now because one day I'm not even going to be a challenge for him. I feel that, Mason. I have an update on that front that we'll get to later.
We've got two people kind of predicting your topics today.
Am I becoming that predictable? I guess I am. I do talk about what I do a lot, so it's not the weirdest thing.
I
but
think we're both pretty predictable at this point.
yeah, we are. Predictably unpredictable, maybe, perhaps.
we
I
go.
don't know. But that's all of our feedback. So speaking of predictable, we're going to go to our next segment now, which is new stuff. Right. Well, speaking of unpredictable, the delivery of our ink sample vial holders has been exactly that.
Finally,
So-
after we had a shipment lost in the ocean or something.
Well, so long story short, the history of our vial holders, because I'm sure you're terribly interested. Well, we won't give it all away, but
yeah.
the vial holder, for those of you who don't know, it's this like, test tube rack, basically. This like medical grade looking, kind of flimsy, like disposable, whatever. It was just meant as some like convenient thing that you can store ink sample vials in because, some people get a lot of them and it's just easier than like throw them all in a cardboard box or your desk drawer or whatever. So we were like, that's cool. We'll do that. Well, the previous supplier we were getting it from discontinued them. And we tried to get a couple of the replacements and they just didn't look great. And we weren't happy with them.
They were more flimsy, harder to assemble.
Yeah, people already weren't happy about having to assemble them and some of the quality and stuff. And the ones that we tried to replace them with were even worse. And we were just like, well, we're going to design our own. We're going to like go out, do it all from scratch. We did that, ordered it. And this was all like during kind of while COVID stuff was happening.
Yeah.
And supply chain stuff was a disaster.
Right when it started getting really bad.
Yeah, as it was all, the world was crumbling and supply chain was awful. And we ordered it. It got held up in a port in Long Beach for
Paid for it.
forever. And then they just lost it and we never got it back. So we had to eat the entire shipment and basically order them again and hope that they made it this time. And they did. Yay! So we have them again. It's just been so long that people have probably forgotten what they even are. Anyway, we have them now. Go check them out on the site. We'll be talking about them a little more in depth later in this episode, but they're much higher quality, specifically designed by us for the purpose of storing ink vials, and you do not have to assemble them. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, check that out. We have them now, $18 on our site. A little more expensive, but they're so much higher quality. And we have another pen that's exciting, though it's not a fountain pen. One of the few acceptable rollerball pens that we will carry, Retro 51. We have an exclusive. So it harkens back.
Ooh, a harkening.
It harkens back to a previous exclusive that we did, Santa Jaws, which was a favorite. You and I both owned that sweater, Drew. That was the catalyst for this design. And we decided to make it into a rollerball version for Christmas this year. So should be fun. I should say for winter season. It's a winter season pen. I mean,
It is a
Santa hat.
holiday sweater.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But around that time of year, wintry, whatever, holiday season. Anyway, we're doing limited edition 500 pens, and that's it. And yeah, we got them. They're pretty sweet. So you can check them out. If all goes to plan, we'll have launched them by the time this video goes out. But if not, then they're coming soon. But anyway, we'll have them $52.50. Go check them out. Once they're gone, they're gone. That's all I got, Drew. What about you?
Very exciting. Well, I, in my hands, received a few new Sailor pens this week to inspect.
Okay.
And I realized upon opening them, like, oh, yeah, these are the Christmas spice pens.
Yeah.
A large King of Pens, orange, and then, you know, a slightly less large Sailor Pro Gear, orange. And then I'm like, okay, well, let me look at the, you know, and I'm like, okay, cool. These look nice. These look nice.
Yeah.
But being the diligent employee that I am, Brian, I needed to thoroughly inspect all of them. So I got to the Pro Gear Slim and opened it up, and holiday cheer and joy and magic just emanated forth in a blanket of warmth and gleefulness.
Did it kind of like turn foggy, like turn like kind of frosty around your vision?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
Like
the
gold
scent,
glitter
the
started
scent
to
of
like
the scent of pine was in the air, like the chest from Pulp Fiction with the gold coming out. And I realized this was not just the orange spice pen of the other two. This Pro Gear Slim has its own thing, and it's called Christmas pudding.
Christmas pudding.
Yes, and it's a brown barrel with a light brown section and a green sparkly cap.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
It's a fully immersed Christmas pudding
so you've got
pen.
Like, yes.
I could not have put this pen together. Like I don't know how they keep doing this.
To me, it's like the brown of like the wood, the green of the leaves, and then a tiny little hint of red on the finial for like a holly berry or something like that.
It does look like that.
It just I've been putting some money aside for the Sailor Pro Gear Slim, the Shikiori, I think the nuts one with the acorn on the finial.
Yeah.
Because I'm like that's my pen. But then this one showed up, man, and I'm telling you, this has superseded it in my quest.
Wow.
This is now number one. I must have it.
Wow.
Must have it.
That's
And you were not immediately wowed by this pen.
Well, okay, so context. The first time I saw this pen, I was in my office yesterday working on stuff. Glenn, our photographer, brings the pen to me, and he's like got this befuddled look on his face. And I'm like, what's going on, man? He's like, is this pen brown or purple? He's like, I feel like I'm going crazy because it's like color shifting on me. And so I'm like, let me take a look at it. Because this happens sometimes. We get colors that are pretty borderline.
The Sailor does that too. Like that's kind of
absolutely.
a Sailor thing.
Sailor loves to walk that line. So this is not his first rodeo having to decide, like, because we have to, essentially when we categorize these pens on the site, we have to determine what color do we call it? And we got to do like a swatch to represent the color of this pen. I literally didn't even have advice for him. I was like, good luck with the swatch. I don't know what you're going to do on this one, but whatever. So yeah, he brought it to me and I was like, yeah, it does look brown. And then I was like, well, let me put it over in the sunlight. And it was like, boom, now it's purple. And it's like, it like completely changes its color based on the lighting, which is cool. Like, I think it's a cool thing, but you just got to be aware that that's how it does.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, I ultimately couldn't, I said it's kind of more of a brown, especially because like, I know that's like what they're going for.
Yeah,
like
definitely
theme
going
and stuff
for
like
brown.
that. And I think like most people, when you say purple, they have like more of a real like purple, this is like a super dark, like plum.
Well, some wood can have a burgundy
kind of
hint to it, I think.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, like, it's just one of those pens that like can wig you out in terms of its
There's
colors.
a whole lot going on. There's definitely a whole lot
There's
going
a lot
on.
happening. And then it's like, so that was the context, was like, he brought it to me and
Did
I
it
was
freak
like,
you out a little
what is
bit?
up with this color? And then I would like, I didn't, to be honest, I didn't like study this pen before we got it. So I was like opening it up and I was like, what is happening?
It surprised
with
me.
all these colors?
I was expecting another orange one. I saw the names. I thought I'd seen the screenshots, but I thought all three of them were going to be orange. So this one really, it really.
So it kind of surprised us both a little bit.
It did.
Yeah.
Me in a very different way than you, though.
I mean, me, I
you
was
were
just
befuddled.
Like, I was a little befuddled.
Elated.
Yeah. But hey, look, these do that sometimes,
They
right?
do.
Like
It
that's
do
the
be
thing.
like that.
That's the thing with these like mixture of colors pens is some people will be like, what is happening with this thing? It doesn't even make sense in my brain. And then other people are like, this pen speaks to my soul and represents who I am as a human. And this is your jam. So yeah. And you don't have a Sailor pen yet, so this will be your first.
I have Sailor pens. They were just I haven't
gotcha.
actually paid for a Sailor. I've traded them. I have two 1911s, which isn't even my favorite model. I like the Pro Gear.
You like those flat tops, yeah.
But I've traded, and I'm like, all right, well, I can't say no to these.
So you haven't like intentionally like chosen.
They've both been
like,
pre-owned. Yes, exactly.
Your own Sailor pen.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Very cool.
100%. So I'm
good deal. That's pretty exciting.
grab it.
Cool. Well, we have those, so you should go check them out on the site. Anyway.
But don't buy all of them because I still need one. So just
give Drew a couple of
wait for
days.
me.
That's right.
No, I'm seriously. Go. That's fine.
Yeah, whatever. We'll figure it out.
All right.
Or you should buy it now and then upsell it on eBay later when Drew wants it if he can't get it. I'm just kidding.
Don't tell them that.
Don't do that. You'll probably have a chance to get it before this goes out. So anyway, no. All right, cool. That's what we got for new stuff. Be sure to check more on our site. We have new arrivals coming soon, all kinds of stuff that you can check out all the time. And this is the season where new stuff is happening. So without further ado, let's cue some A's or A some Q's, I guess, shall we?
All of it.
All right, Drew. We're condensing it a little bit this week, right?
We are just doing trace.
Yeah, we're doubling up. We're doing this week and next week in one filming.
So there's going to be two shorter pen casts instead of one long one and then one of nothing.
Yes. One of nothing? What do you mean?
Like zero pen cast. Like one normal pen cast and zero pen cast. We're going to do two little ones.
Instead of doing a 2-hour one and then nothing.
So many better ways I could have said that.
Yeah. I still can't make sense of that Sailor pen in my brain. I'm just like, what are these colors? How did they get put together? Who did this? Anyway, so let's kick it off with a question, shall we, Drew?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Great. The blue.
Yes,
yeah.
here we go.
Well,
this
Brian,
is it. This
choices.
is the one you've been waiting for.
All right.
From Boston Welch. Brian, specifically for you. Can you choose your top 3 favorite blue inks since you are a blue ink connoisseur?
Drew, I can definitively answer this question.
No, you. Oh,
yes.
By saying it depends.
Yes, I can.
You choose
my top 3 favorite blue inks. Next
technically,
question.
that is what he asked. Okay,
that is technical. Yeah.
This is what you do. You can't leave it up to him, people.
No,
you can't leave it up to him. It has to be airtight.
I will play mental chess with you.
You know what? You would
chess
be
with your words.
You would be a really good person to rub a magic lamp and have a genie, because that genie would not be able to pull one over on you. You would be very.
I would be good as the rubber, is what you're saying? The rubber.
That's
of the
not
lamp?
what I wanted to say at all. But sure.
Right? Not the rubby. The way you were setting that question up made it sound like I would.
No one's
make
rubbing
like a
anybody.
Good genie.
I'm saying that you with your affection for clarifying questions. Yeah. I think that if there was a malevolent genie that wished to kind of catch you.
Oh yeah, if I was in Aladdin's shoes, and I'm going back to like the Disney OG, not the new like live action one, but the cartoon one. I would have some questions for the genie. Yeah, he'd be like, I got some rules, and I'd be like, can we get some clarity on these rules?
Exactly.
I want to.
You would be like you could say, oh, I want to live forever, and then genie would be like, okay, well here, you're now a hydrogen atom. You're like, no, you'd be like, all right, I want to live forever, but
in my current form, I don't want to age. Yeah, I'm like, you got to be specific.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Like there could be room for interpretation. You could get some unintended consequences.
I think you'd get it anyway.
But I will say, when Aladdin did the whole thing, he's like, well, I technically didn't ask to be saved.
Oh yeah, you would do that.
That's what Ellie does to me and Rachel every day. That is just like how she acts with us.
Oh no,
it's always like loopholes and little mental traps and things like that. All like well intended for the most part, but this is like ever since this girl like has been the age of consciousness, I've been like, we got to teach this girl to harness her powers for good.
Exactly. I was just about to say. Hopefully she never uses her powers for evil.
She could either be like a world leader or she could be like a supervillain.
Oh
and
my God.
I don't know it's going to be anywhere.
Sometimes it's the same thing, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
All right.
People
blue inks.
Okay, yeah. So I actually answered the question, right? Okay. So so just to clarify, clarifying, I'm not trying to like say it depends or skirts or whatever. Clarifying what I chose as blue is just like what we have as categorized on blue on our site.
Good.
So I just wanted clear
arbitrary
parameters
rules.
because I have a lot of turquoise inks, like teal inks that I really like too.
Right.
But we have those as a separate swatch on our site. So I did not include anything that was like a turquoise ink. I just went with straight up blues.
That makes sense.
Still a wide range of colors within that category, right? Okay. So I did have Robert Oster Blue Water Ice on there.
So that was one that
as our friend
mentioned.
here, which was yes, A22 Lottie said. So you got that one. You nailed that one on its head. So the next one I had was sort of a three-way tie, and I need to explain myself. If you want me to truly choose, I will just definitely choose. That would be Noodler's Liberty's Elysium.
Okay, and then now give us your backups.
But
and why.
basically, Noodler's Liberty's Elysium, Noodler's Blue, they are really identical in color. It's just the properties are slightly different. I don't often need the like permanent properties of Liberty's Elysium, so I will often use Noodler's Blue. And that was the original color that inspired kind of the catalyst for Liberty's Elysium. But Liberty's Elysium, it's exclusive to us. You know, we've got history with it. So that one is like more personally meaningful to me. But Pilot of Roshizuku Konpeki, really, really similar in color too. I love that. I really like the packaging, like the bottle design of that much better. But in terms of just like the ink itself, it's really so close that I could really do a three-way tie of any of these. But I think Liberty's Elysium just because of the significance.
All right, so we got Blue Water Ice, Elysium, and
the last one I had was kind of tough because, you know, I have a lot of them that are like kind of in the same vein. But I went with Diamine Blue Velvet.
ooh,
Yeah, it's a little bit darker. And again, it's not that much darker. Like these really are all fairly similar blues.
it makes them hard to choose.
But Blue Velvet is super saturated.
I love Blue Velvet.
Very dark. And what really edged it out for me, because I was really debating between that one and Monteverde Horizon Blue,
Oh my god,
which is very close in color.
That one
they're
is
almost
so good.
They're almost
They're both-
indistinguishable, but the bottle of Blue Velvet is so much more attractive.
is that one of the
It's like
pie slice?
the pie slice
Yeah.
one. Yeah, it just
I
looks
like
so
that.
much cooler than the Monteverde bottles.
Yeah.
But you know, Monteverde bottles are higher volume and stuff like that. So like, you know, I think so. If I had to choose just three, solid answer, I'd go Blue Water Ice, Liberty's Elysium, and Blue Velvet.
That is amazing.
I can make choices, folks. I can make choices.
That is really not only that, but this is like a really tough choice. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot out there.
But I mean, I could also change my opinion 10 minutes from now and feel
Certainly.
totally comfortable with that. So
I've
don't hold
absolutely-
me to this.
No,
Don't look at this video like 2 years ago and be like, Brian, you said that these were your three favorite, and blah, 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 blah.
Oh yeah,
Not
no.
that anybody does that, but you know.
When I was picking like a favorite ink in every color for that one video,
Yeah.
I even mentioned at the end like I will probably change my mind in a
You're
couple
like,
months.
this is just my favorite inks as of when I drafted
as
this
of
video.
right now, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's totally fine, and I'd be willing to bet most of our pen friends out there do the same thing.
But the more important thing is if you look at what these, all of these colors, what they actually look like. We'll pull them up on the screen here, but they're not that different from each other. They're all pretty much just Goulet blue.
Yeah.
That is just by far my favorite blue color. And, you know, I just really enjoy that.
There we
So,
go. I started off like when I first got into fountain pens using a lot of that type of blue.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like I used it for years because it is so pretty.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like I used them so much that I kind of just got tired of them, and I haven't really
I don't
gone
understand-
back to a pure blue
I don't
in
understand the concept
years.
of what you're talking about here.
It's been a long time since I've inked up a pen in just kind of a classic blue.
Really?
It has.
Wow. Pretty sure that's the last color that I put in my pen. Was the last like 3 or 4 colors I think were probably in this class.
I just feel like I've gotten a little bit more adventurous in trying out shades that I wouldn't normally try out. But when I
That's
first
true.
the first blue I really fell in love with was Diamine Majestic Blue.
That's a good one.
That was like
that was in heavy consideration.
yeah,
for me.
that was like
Yeah.
the first one I really started to like. And then I liked how dark it was, and I moved a little bit darker. And Noodler's Navy was a thing that I would get inked
Yeah,
up.
you've
a
always
lot.
been very pro Navy.
Yeah, I really liked that one. And then I got into blue blacks and
to
stuff.
be fair, I think that Navy is like probably a more in general like work appropriate ink, if you will. It's like closer to more of a dark blue that I think would not stand out quite as much if you were using it as some of these other ones.
When we were writing notes a lot on every single invoice we'd send out, I used a lot of Noodler's Navy because it was quick to write.
Okay.
I
it
could
does.
write it
dries
really
pretty
fast.
quick. And okay.
It was
the
short.
name is short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that also had something to do with it. But
Yeah,
anyway,
you didn't want to use like Private Reserve DC Super Show Blue.
no.
You're like, no, that takes forever.
No, but actually recently, and because I haven't used navy in a long time, but recently I've been more into more muted blues, and Robert Oster Thunderstorm has been one that I discovered last year, and I've re-inked up a pen with that, which is not something I do. Normally I try different stuff, but I've gone back to Thunderstorm twice, so it's kind of a big deal. So I've been more into the lighter, less saturated blues.
Yeah.
So
I will go to less saturated blues. And I appreciate them for what they are. So like I'll use them and I'll be like, okay, yeah, this is kind of nice. And it's the kind of thing that like, if you like watch a show that you don't normally watch, if you have like one show that you always go to or one game you always play or one, wine you always drink or food you like to eat or whatever, and you're kind of like, let me mix it up. And you go and you're like, yeah, this different thing is kind of good. And then you go back to the other thing and you're like, oh, this is so much better. Like this is just, no, forget that other new thing.
You always find your way home.
This is what these blues are for me. Like this, like, cobalt blue that like, Goulet blue. I'm like these other blues I'm like, yeah, I really appreciate these are really nice. I see why people like them. And then I go back to like Noodler's blue or something. I'm like, oh, this is the best. Like nothing tops this.
I was so surprised when you made that thing out of Rubik's cubes, how close that blue was to your blue. That was like really surprising because Rubik's cubes, like they could be any shade of any of the
they're usually
colors.
not quite that vibrant.
So pretty solid. All
right.
There was
no accident, my friend.
Okay.
No accident.
Wait, you didn't know that it was going to be the right shade, though, did you?
Well, so this specifically, what I bought here, they're like mini cubes, and I actually bought them in a set, like it's a mosaic set that was like brand new, and I actually pre-ordered that. So I knew I wanted to do a mosaic for this set here, but it just so happened. I mean, I definitely noticed that, like, I was like, that color is going to be like spot on. Like,
so you noticed the color
like
before you
bright.
Decided to do that?
Well, I knew I wanted to do a mosaic and play button kind of a thing before COVID hit and all that stuff. So I was already going to do that, but it was like really muted colors. And I was like, okay, like it's something. But then I knew I wanted to do another one. And when I saw this set come out and I saw how vibrant the colors were, I was like, oh, this is definitely happening.
Nice.
So yeah. So it's not the reason I bought it, but it was definitely a huge bonus.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Next question. This is from Shivan Iwanajara. Which is the best custom pilot pen in your opinion?
Opinion.
You said that, not me.
I know.
Mr. doesn't like dad jokes.
It's if they're natural, it's fine.
They're always natural.
No. If it's a setup.
If they're coming from a dad.
No.
Then it's a natural.
If it's like, hey,
joke.
what do you call a blah, 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 blah? Like, no, don't give me that.
Is it like the one that I did the other day?
Oh my
after the
God.
last pen?
No, that one.
Guys, I'm so upset because right after we finished the recording, I just gobsmacked Drew.
You really did. I fell over. I fell on the ground.
Totally, like, I don't remember what episode it was when I talked about the limbo bar with my kids, and I set you up with that one, and you just like, it smacked you in the face.
Yeah.
It was like that again, but with a different joke. But it didn't happen on film, and I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
I can't replicate that because it happened so naturally. And that one... See, Drew, the other one was a setup. I knew I was going to do it. I put it in the notes so that I would tee that up. This one was completely impromptu.
That's why it slammed me so hard. Like I just, oh my God.
As it was happening, and I can't go into great detail about it, but basically, I can tell. I'll tell the joke. I won't give all the details because I don't want to talk about.
Well,
like,
I just mentioned somebody being in the Norwegian Navy.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, you know something,
which like is never something you're going to hear in your daily life. So Drew tees it up, and I'm like, oh my God, I have the opportunity to do this joke on him. Like I recognized it immediately, and I was like, I can't get too excited, or he's going to see that there's a joke coming.
Yeah. So I said something about the Norwegian Navy, and
I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I was like, actually, did you know that in the Navy, like in the Norwegian Navy, they put barcodes on the side of their ships?
And then I'm like, oh God, why in the world do you know such a random fact about the Norwegian Navy? Like, how do you have that in your head?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I was like, yeah, that's so that they can Scandinavian when they come into port. Yeah. And just to see the life force drain from his face.
How he had that in his brain so quick. Like, I'm going to just chamber that until someone says something about the Norwegian Navy.
It's truly a gift. What it is it's years of conditioning because my kids pull this kind of stuff on me.
Man.
And so I'm like constantly thinking of like, I just have like a RoboCop where it's like, as certain people in my life are talking, I'm like, where can I slip in a stupid joke? Where can I slip in a stupid joke? You know?
I just
And
was
it's
not
just like,
ready for that at all. It came out of nowhere.
I'm so proud of myself. So proud of myself.
I seriously,
nailing that.
right over there, I fell over.
It was like,
because
he was literally standing up right after he turned off the camera. I was like, I wish we'd gotten that. Anyway, that's fun. What are we doing? We're doing a Pencast
I'm already
here?
emotionally exhausted.
Oh.
All right. So
Custom
best
pen.
custom pen.
Opinion.
All right. I thought about this a lot, and I didn't want to be just like, what do I think is the coolest? But I did.
It is in your opinion. So
I settled on what I do think is the coolest, and that's the custom 912. So the custom
Really?
912.
Really? That one?
It is.
Okay.
So the 823, I don't like. It is fragile. We covered that in a previous episode.
I wouldn't call it fragile,
It cracks more than any other custom pen.
but it's not like it cracks all the time.
No, it doesn't. But
If
it is.
you are messing with it,
It is the most fragile of all the custom pens. It cracks the most.
I guess.
I know you're not. That's not saying a whole lot. But anyway,
Yeah, okay.
I can't. For that reason, I can't say it's the best.
It's only brown one though, Drew. What
it's
about
harder- it's harder
How are you
to
gonna
clean.
represent your brown brethren here?
I know. But
Are you betraying
the
your
custom
brown?
74 is too thin and small. The
I don't know. What?
and the
Wait,
and
what?
the ones
Thin and small?
the
That pen is long.
the 912
thing is not small.
The 912 is larger, right?
It's on this. Yeah, it is.
It is, okay.
True. Compared to all the other custom pens, the 74 is on the smaller end. It's not the
is.
smallest.
that's what I'm talking about.
It's
We're
on
talking about the
smaller
custom
end. But
pens.
I would not call it objectively.
It also has
thin
the
and small.
the obnoxious ball clip, which you know how I feel about
all right.
those.
Well, that's just your.
Get that ball
that
outta
is your
here.
opinion. Okay.
No,
your opinion.
Take it out.
Fine.
So the 912, you've got the cool clip, flat tops, which I'm all about.
The clip is
The
cool.
thing it's lacking is color. It has, like in the US,
It's just black.
jack for color. So the
it.
custom 74 definitely wins in that category
Darn
for
right
sure.
it does.
So
Beats the pants off it.
calm down, Brian.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right,
defend
you'll have your
defend my
turn.
74.
You'll have your turn.
I
Buddy.
chose a 74, by the way,
Yeah,
in case you didn't
don't
notice.
say. Anyway,
Okay.
cool clip, flat ends, nib sizes, Brian. Custom
All right.
custom 74
All right.
can't hold a
I
candle
will give
to
you that.
You've got
I will give you
all the
that.
nib sizes you need on the 912.
Okay.
And
That,
it can
no
fit
question.
the obnoxious Con 70 if you want it to. So
Oh, not can fit, Drew. That's
guess-
what comes on the pen.
Yeah, I guess all
That
the- all
is
the-
made
all the-
for it.
nearly
It's
all the custom
a marriage.
pens.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
yeah, all the custom pen. Well, not the 823, obviously.
or the Heritage 92.
not the 92.
Yeah. Anyway, I've said that like 3 times. I go for the 912. I like it. I think it's it's solid bang for your buck, especially if you get one of the more interesting nibs like the FA or the PO or the Waverly.
Or the course.
You find the courses unique on the unique side?
Yeah. It's like writing with a friggin'
triple
garden
broad.
hose.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so friggin' wet.
So I will go with that one. However, I will also say that the 845 in Vermilion
Ooh,
is very, very nice.
that's nice.
I really,
That's
really
a good
like that
one.
one. But I think that the 912 is a little bit more practical and has a wider
Yeah.
variety in terms of writing performance goes.
Fair enough.
Now, how do you feel about the
I don't
74,
disagree.
Brian?
I don't disagree with anything that you said, except that
Really?
the custom
Because
74
you
is thin
seemed-
and small.
Comparatively,
You didn't say comparatively. You just said
we're talking about the
straight up,
customs.
It's
So
thin and small.
the question implies comparison, sir.
Well, I categorize it into 2 different things. Since you mentioned multiple pens, I will also mention multiple pens. No price limit. I would choose the custom Urushi, the big chonker.
That
Just
is a big
the
chonker.
massive one. The nib is beautiful.
It is beautiful. Yeah.
It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's that Yukari Royale size nib, the number 30,
Mm.
which is huge. It's basically like a number 8 size.
So
in a
everything you
Yobo.
said is just like how huge it is. So that's the big selling. Like,
Well, that's the okay. I do like a huge pen. Yeah, that one is good, and it's got Urushi. Obviously,
does that make it
as
the
in
best
name.
though?
Well, I this is my opinion.
Okay.
I'm not objectively saying it's the
Okay.
best. I'm saying it's awesome. So the nib is beautiful. The design of it.
And huge.
It's not just a bigger nib of the other ones. It is a slightly different design itself. So it just like aesthetically looks more elaborate and beautiful, and it's two-tone.
Well, normally nibs that size have the Mount Fuji stuff on it because it's
Correct,
like usually
yeah,
so they're a little bit more basic looking.
It's the only Pilot that I know that we have that has a number 30 size nib.
And the Pilot nibs,
normally only on the Mikis.
The Pilot nibs are definitely more detailed with the scroll work and everything like that.
And the two-tone, which you don't always see.
Oh, you're right.
You usually only see the two-tone nibs on like the anniversary edition pens.
You're right.
So because
the 845 doesn't have two-tone, does it?
I don't remember, but we could look it up real quick.
Because I think the 845 is a little bit more practical than the custom Urushi. It's kind of like
for most people,
Yeah.
for sure. So the custom 845, that is two-tone. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Two-tone.
Okay. We'll see. I'll
so you got the gold on the outside, two-tone going on the custom
Yeah.
845. And then if I go custom Urushi, that one is just a beast. This one is in vermilion too, Drew.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so it's similar two-tone design with the gold on the outside.
Yeah.
But it's just bigger and there's like more elaborate stuff happening in the middle.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's really, really large, but it's not super heavy. So it's it's a super comfortable writer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even for people that generally don't like big pens, I think most people that don't like big pens is because they're usually very heavy.
That's true.
This pen is not heavy.
It is a very comfortable writer. I've written with one time and it was pretty darn magnificent.
And Pilot's nibs are great. And the bigger they get, the greater they are, in my opinion.
A vermilion pen of any kind?
I do not have a vermilion pen.
Why not?
It just...
Do you like fountain pens at all?
Oh my gosh, Drew. What is this? What a troll. Gosh, gaslighting me over here.
I feel like you should have one, don't you?
Drew,
don't you feel like you deserve one?
All right, this is a $1,400 pen.
We'll get the 845, the little brother.
I am not the holdup from me owning one of these pens at this point. You know that for sure. No, the vermilion is great. The black one is great. They both look really good. The vermilion one is, I think, more unique. So that's where I'd be more inclined.
All right, you and Rachel
we have not, we only have the broad in stock.
Perfect.
Which would actually be pretty great.
There you go.
I'm not gonna lie. No, the reason I don't have, part of the reason I don't have a vermilion pen is because for years, we have not had stock of any vermilion pens. It's like super rare for us to even have them. So
you and Rachel don't often do Christmas presents for each other, right?
No,
I say this is the year to cash them all in. 5 years of no presents.
Wow.
You know what, honey? I've decided I actually have something I want this year.
Wow. Is that what I'm...
All we need to do is just write it off.
Oh, but Drew, then she's going to come back with something she wants too. That's how it works, right?
Like 40 TWSBI Ecos.
She already has that. She already has that. I heard it. And they all need to be clean too.
Oh, God. Nightmare.
Not really, but she does have a bunch of them. Anyway, so that pen price was no object. I mean, that pen is fantastic. But I don't even own one of those, right? And you just have to be like, hey, Brian, you should probably get one of those. And be like, okay, I'm pretty easy to sell on keeping any pen, but this one in particular is still, I got to think about pens in that price range. But the ones I don't have to think about very much is the Custom 74. And that's just my old standby. It's almost synonymous with me just because I have talked about it so much over the years, but I don't know. Okay, I'll give you, in terms of the Custom 74, it's weird. I love the way the pen writes. I do love the Con 70 converter, even though you don't, which doesn't make sense in my brain.
I mean,
the feed is great because you don't have to completely dip the pen all the way up to the grip. It's got the feed. It's got the little filler hole.
Face
that's
sucker.
Close to the, exactly. Little anteater feed, which other Pilot pens have too, but that one has it. So I do love that compared to other pens outside of Pilot. So I've loved that, but it was my first gold nib pen. Mm-hmm. And it was I've had other pens where it was my first of some category or genre or whatever. And it was oh, okay. That was my first, but it's not my favorite. I've found other better ones now. That pen was a very solid introduction into a gold nib pen for me. That was where things started to click. And I was oh.
Was it a medium?
Medium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I probably over the years have made it a little more of a medium broad just because I'm a heavy hand writer and I want to see that blue ink on the page, so I probably push that one a little further. But yeah, so I don't know. I love it. And it's super sentimental at this point because it was, that pen now would be, that original blue one I had, that would be 12 years old probably. at this point, and exact same dang pen is coming off the
Going like a
production
champ.
line, and so many people have it. So many people love it. I can't tell you how many people have written me and been like, wow, I've heard you talk about this pen for years, and I got it, and I was not disappointed. It's everything you said it would be. So I don't know. That would be it for me. But, you know, the custom University Vermilion would be pretty solid. I would ask Rachel for it on camera, but she definitely doesn't watch these pencasts. So how could you? They're so long. Anyway, I mean, y'all are, but you know what I mean. Rachel doesn't have time for that. She has to hear me like in real life all the time. Can you imagine dealing with this and all this nonsense around like normal everyday things? It's exhausting for her. I'm sure it's the way with Shannon for you, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like to deal with you
100%.
around regular things. Because we're like doing a shtick here a little bit. Like this is our personality, but we're like, you know, playing to the theme here. But like
with this, yeah.
Yeah, but when you like, you know, need to mail in your like tax paperwork and like there's laundry to put away and you're getting like dad jokes, Rachel's not really like wanting that. You know what I mean? But I bring it anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Next question, shall we?
Yes, we
Did we answer that one thoroughly? I think we did.
I think we did.
That wasn't even
All
my
right.
question. Sorry. Okay.
All right, next up, we've got Tom Boplo.
Oh, yeah.
And Tom asks how to get rid of inky fingers. Not severed fingers.
I was going to say, we need to clarify what type of fingers we have.
If you want
here.
to turn inky fingers into clean fingers.
Are they chicken fingers? Are they...
Let's assume Homo sapien.
Lady fingers?
Oh, tiramisu.
You know? Yeah. Okay, anyway. Oh, tiramisu, that is...
Oh, so
that
good.
is good.
Anyway, yes.
I'm feeling very snacky. I ate
Inky
lunch.
fingers.
I ate lunch right before we recorded this, so now I'm like,
You get some...
I got the pumpkins left. The pumpkins are just so much.
You've got some
There's
regular
so
ones
much.
down in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat the regular ones first. Truth be told,
Candy corn.
little deep dive for you all.
Oh, good.
Or a deep cut, I guess. The candy corn that I dropped on the floor during the Pencast last week.
He found it.
I found it and I was like, ooh, candy corn. And it was one of the chocolate ones. And I just picked it up off the
Yeah,
floor.
and I just watched the Pencast because I was cutting out a little section of it for
I ate it and I
Instagram. I'm like, yeah, you dropped that last week, remember?
I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. I bet it's still good.
Tastes the
Ate
same.
it. Tastes exactly the same. What's the difference? It was sitting on the floor versus, you know, it's not like anybody's coming back here.
Nope.
You know, it's all my happenings over
It
here.
is your happenings.
It's my area. Whatever. It's all good. I'm sure it's gross to some of you. I'm sorry. But anyway, what?
Inky fingers.
Okay. So for me to get serious, I don't really sweat it that much. I mean, I'm in a different situation maybe, but I don't like, you know, if I get ink all over my hands, I'm like, oh, I have inky hands. I might like wash my hands. Just
I mean, yeah,
with
it
soap and
happens
water.
every day. So
Yeah, I guess it happens more with
I've
us.
stopped worrying about it.
Yeah. I mean, some people it's a bigger deal. Like I can understand if I was like a lawyer going like to court in front of a judge and I had like red ink all over my hands, like maybe that wouldn't be so great. But I don't know. I think that there's not as many people that I hear that are like taking extremes to like get ink off their hands anymore. I don't know. It was a bigger deal, I feel like 10 years ago when people were asking like, oh my gosh, there's ink on my hands. I have to get all of it off. And now it's like, oh, whatever. Just tell people, oh yeah, I use fountain pens. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's interesting. You know, it could be a conversation starter. So for me, I'm like, I don't really sweat it that much. I guess some of it is like, I just, whatever, it happens. It goes away. It washes off like quickly enough, just naturally. Like, oh, the next few times I like go to the bathroom or wash my hands or whatever.
Yeah, usually for me,
It'll just kinda wear off.
it might last a day
Yeah.
at most.
So I kind of wear it with pride. I've done that before where I've like spilled ink all over my hands on video and it's like, okay, well, haha, this is what we do. But basically soap and water helps. The quicker, the better. I will say that. So if you like get ink all over your hands and you like leave it on there and it kind of dries up and then you wash your hands, it's not as good as if you like get ink on your hands and you're like, say you're filling it and you're like at your kitchen counter or something like that. And there's a sink right there or you're like you're whatever in your office near your bathroom. You know, you get ink on your fingers like, oh shoot, okay. If you go and wash it off like right away, that alone will take care of like most of it. So quickness helps. Dish soap, if you don't want to go a little more aggressive than hand soap, because dish soap has more like degreaser in it. So that can often be helpful. I find that's helpful. With certain inks, and I can't say definitively like which ones work better, but it's just something else you can try, shampoo or hand sanitizer. Because they have some like different chemicals in them.
Hand sanitizer I have used.
Yeah. So
I've also used hand sanitizer to clean ink off surfaces.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that'll totally work. Surfaces, you know, depending on what the surface is, can be a host of different like chemicals and stuff that you can use that are maybe more helpful, but degreasing soaps, like they make for mechanics, stuff that have like pumice in it. So think like lava soap, the Gojo, like orange stuff, the Zep cherry bomb. That's the stuff we got a big, the stuff that's like in a big pump and it's like, feels really gritty.
Yeah.
That stuff, it's not like super aggressive in terms of its chemical nature. But that pumice can help to like, get the harder to, the more grabby parts of the ink off your fingers. So we keep the cherry bomb stuff, and it smells really good too. We keep that over by our pen cleaning station here at work. And that stuff helps a lot when you get ink on your fingers. I find I get more ink on my fingers when cleaning pens by far than I do inking them.
For me, it's always, I never get ink directly on my fingers. It's always me using a paper towel to like wipe off nibs and stuff like that. If I'm testing nibs and I'm like, or testing inks and I'm like wiping off a glass pen, the ink seeps through. So my fingers get just this, not a concentration of ink, but a big wide,
like a wash of
very,
ink.
very subdued wash, but like in a like all over 2 fingers, just because it soaks all the way through.
And me, like when I clean, because I'm a deep cleaner, so when all my pens will be dried up, they'll be nasty. I'll clean them in a group, so I usually look like I've strangled some kind of ink creature by the time I'm done cleaning my pens. There's like a rainbow of stuff. I don't know what that means, but so anyway, honestly, this is about as aggressive as I go when it comes to cleaning ink off my hands. You can get more specialty cleaners. Some of the specialty ink cleaners that I've seen, we've been asked about some of these here and there over the years. Most of the time, the more aggressive cleaners that we get asked about are for cleaning it out of like clothing or carpet or like non-human surfaces. You know what I mean? Amodex is one thing I've heard about that can work pretty well. I think you can get that like at most drugstores. So it's never really made sense for us to stock it because it's pretty readily available. I believe it's like a milk-based, like a casein-based product too. So it's like somewhat of a more natural product. It's good for clothing, I think. Ink Nix is another one I used to hear more about. We like briefly tried to like find a supplier and it just like wasn't clear.
I totally
like
forgot about that, but
who makes it or whatever. I haven't heard much about it.
I've never used it either.
I've never used it. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious a little bit of like do y'all have any other like out there in YouTube land have any, or podcast land? Do y'all have any advice about other things that you've used, whether it's just like typical household objects or things like that, like the shampoo, hand sanitizer thing? Like maybe that's not something most people would have thought of. Or is there some like specialty product that you know about that you're like, oh, this is like the thing that everybody should know about? Because we would like to know about that. Anyway, what about you, Drew? You got any other advice besides that?
You covered it all. Yep.
Just perfection. Perfection through words.
You know what we do around here.
Yeah.
That's it.
We're doing the same things with the same things. So eloquent. Anyway, let's go on to our product spotlight, which is our vial holder. Okay. So if you are familiar with these, we sold these for, I don't know, over a decade, I think. And they're basically like test tube racks. I think that's what they were officially. So that you like slide the pieces in and out like this. They were actually really good for us because they would come collapsed. So you can see that, how they come apart. They came collapsed, so they were like easier to ship. And they were smaller, more condensed and stuff. But, if things got crushed really hard, they could crack in shipping, or sometimes people would like have a hard time fitting them together because they're not the smoothest things, but they hold ink files, right? So it's pretty convenient because you can just put it right in there. It's just about the right height. It keeps them spaced apart enough. You can label the tops or whatever if you want to be able to see them. It's pretty convenient. So it was a good utility product. Sad that we don't have it anymore, but we wanted to replace it. So we did. So again, we sourced out our own. Now it comes in a box, which is nice. And we have classed it up. So I will have to take it out of the plastic. And boom. So we opted for just the 2 rows instead of 3. Oh, there you go. It was upside down. So put the little logo. I say it's a pretty big logo. We didn't necessarily want to make it like the size of the entire thing, but we needed that for the clarity since we have such a thin wording in our logo. But this is made out of like that, plexiglass type material. It's like a different type of plastic. This stuff is like, you can just see how like flimsy that is. This stuff is like much sturdier. It's still plastic, and you can obviously like crack it and stuff like that. But yeah, so this one, it kind of sits there. It sits down a little, it's a little lower sitting than that, and it just kind of, does that. So pretty convenient. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say. I mean, you can still put like pens in here. Some people like to do that. It's basically a similar configuration to what was on this one. It's just slightly more compact, more durable, looks a lot nicer. And yeah, so this is what we're going to have for the foreseeable future because we're not carrying this one anymore. And yeah, you can get that one available now through the whatever future. All right.
Would you like to talk about what's happening?
Would you like to talk about what's happening? Because you're first on the list, Drew.
Yes. What is happening?
Hank issues, apparently.
A lot of vet stuff, yeah. So I have 3 dogs now. 3 dogs now. And the oldest one, Dinah, is having skin issues. She's got a bacterial infection.
Ooh.
So that was a whole deal. So she now has to have antibiotics and a bath every day for 2 weeks.
Awesome.
I'm not excited about that.
Like starting now?
Starting today.
Starting today?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That sounds interesting.
Yep.
Does she is she compliant?
Nope.
Or is it like a battle every day?
Nope. It's absolutely a battle. Every corgi we've had has hated baths.
Oh, gosh.
So no, she absolutely hates it. So, and also drying them is really hard because corgis have an undercoat, so they don't need to be groomed, like trimmed, because they shed naturally, but they have a really thick undercoat, so they stay wet for so long. But you have to get them dry because you can't let moisture sit on their skin. So a hair dryer is the best bet, but they hate that.
Oh my gosh.
So
this is going to be like just a epic battle.
Every day.
Every day for 2 weeks. Sounds awesome.
Yeah. So, and then Hank, the newest dog.
Sounds like a good opportunity for Archer to earn some points.
Man, he would not do that. Not worth. I'd have to get
that's rough.
That'd have to be like an instant 10 points. And then Hank, our newest dog, who is only 3, he came to us with an eye issue. We knew that he had dry eye, which means he doesn't produce tears in that eye. So we need to do drops every day, which is no big deal. But that eye got some sort of ulcer in it. So that created a whole host of issues for him. So he needed to go to the vet too. And then we think that due to the stress of that ulcer, he developed some digestive issues.
Oh, no.
And that has been a whole thing.
Oh.
And without going into details, it got to the point where we needed to take him to the emergency vet. And Shannon, last Friday, tried to do that. She got to the emergency vet. They were unable to take him because of staffing issues.
Oh, no.
So I started calling all around the Richmond area, and every place I got to either was closed because of reduced hours or did not have capacity because of reduced staffing. So we had no place to take him.
My gosh.
So we had the closest one was Fredericksburg, and we're not.
It's like an hour away.
And I didn't even call them because we didn't even know if that was a possibility. Right. So he just stayed back at home overnight, and he was okay. Wow. We took him into our vet the next morning, but I saw an article recently that showed, yes, there is a shortage of emergency vets in the Richmond area because of the staffing issues. And it's just one of those things where...
Yeah, what are you going to do? I mean,
it's like, I'm sure that emergency vets are underpaid and have been seeking employment elsewhere. And they're probably not paid what they need to be paid, and I'm sure that their job is unfathomably stressful. So I get it. It's no different than, we've been seeing these issues with at pharmacies too. I don't know if you've ever, there's the Walgreens up here on Parham, on Staples Mill and Hungary. That one only has pharmacy hours some parts of the week because they can't find pharmacists.
I have seen a lot of hiring signs at pharmacies.
Yeah, well, retail pharmacy is insane, and it's such a tough job, and they get yelled at all the time. And pharmacists don't make what they used to make either. That's the
it's stressful too.
Oh my God,
that's a stressful job.
Absolutely. Yeah. So retail pharmacists, they're struggling. So it's everywhere. Everybody knows about the staffing shortages now. But yeah, Friday was rough for us because Shannon just felt like she was a terrible pet owner because she's got 2 dogs that are in not so great health. And
but can't judge yourself for that.
No, of course. And you get bothered by that stuff because you care. And I'm trying to tell her this, but that's been That's been on our mind. But on the other hand, my brother did bring over his 2 corgis to have a corgi party.
5 corgis.
5 corgis in our house.
What?
On Saturday night. Yeah.
I mean, does it reach a point where you're just like, whatever, there might as well be 100 because you can't hear anything anyway? And
pretty much.
It's just madness.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. So we did that. I made pizza. I made stuffed pizza, which is like a pie, essentially, like a cheese.
Okay, yeah,
like
not
hot,
like stuffed crust, but
hot
like,
cheese pie. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
hot cheese pie.
Basically.
That
so
sounds
in a
less
cake,
appealing for some reason.
It does,
but,
yeah. Hot cheese, yeah. But cake pan. So there's crust, cheese, crust, sauce.
Okay, yeah.
So
I dig that.
Yeah, I don't love my recipe because I haven't figured it out. It's supposed to be like Giordano's pizza.
Right.
But I haven't found either the right recipe for crust to make it nice and biscuity like their crust is.
Okay.
And every store-bought crust does the job in terms of structural rigidity, but it's either got too much sugar in it, so it burns quickly, or it hardens so fast around the edges that you basically can't eat it because it's hard and stupid.
Oh.
So, but still, it was still good. It was still good.
Wow.
And yeah, corgi party. I got my brother used the Quest 2 VR headset for the first time, so he got to play with lightsabers and stuff on that. He really liked it, so it was nice. It's always fun to see somebody experience that for the first time because it's just like, whoa.
Yeah, that's wild.
He liked the mini golf game the most, though. It's very peaceful. Yeah,
okay, I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that being a good VR experience.
It really is. The physics are good too. The ball goes where it should for most
golf
part.
is always like one of those like golfing video games that goes like way back. I feel like that was like one of the earlier video games. They still make it. Like they're still making them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I had a couple good golf games for like the regular Nintendo back in the day that were pretty fun.
Yeah, Mario Golf. Like
Mario Golf's
like,
always
that's like one of the top like rated Mario games out there.
Yeah, I think they recently came out with a new one.
I think they did. Yeah. I think so.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that was basically it for me last weekend. Dog issues and dog party.
Wow, that's a roller coaster of emotions happening.
Yeah, it was.
Dogs, yeah. Well, I've had a roller coaster of emotions myself as well. Kids things and insects. That's been my theme.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll start out with the insects. So it's that time of year.
Yep.
It was actually on the Pencast last year, as a matter of fact, where I talked about the invasion of insects coming into my house. It was right around this time of year, similar situation. We had a cold snap, and then it's like kind of cold at night, but it gets up into like 70s during the day, which for whatever reason, around this time of year, the Asian lady beetles, not ladybugs, it's different because I remember I learned that from you all, from our audience, that's what they are. But yes, that is a thing in the mid-Atlantic region where we are this time of year. I mean, when I say they're invading, I am talking like they are invading, like hundreds of them in our house.
Last year on the Pencast, you could see them behind you sometimes.
Yes, it is horrifying. Like they're not scary, like they're not harmful or really, they're dumb bugs. They're just flying around. Like they don't bite. They don't like, they're kind of gross, I guess, but they look like ladybugs.
But still, you like an invasion of any sort of fauna coming into your home.
When you like walk to your front door and there are hundreds of them on the walls and ceiling and everything by your front door, you're like, that's disgusting.
Yeah, as a homeowner, you're like, that shouldn't be there.
Yeah. And
am I doing something wrong?
My kids absolutely hate bugs. So when there's like a swarm of them invading into and I'm not talking like we're leaving the doors open or anything. They like find any little crack in the doors, windows, anything. So like, this is a theme for us anyway. And we've like had, what do you call them? Exterminators and all kinds of people come out and they're basically like, yeah, any crack, any degradation in like your windows or anything, like they will find it and they will come in and they'll like nest in your windowsills and all this kind of stuff. They're basically like, you just have to like replace your windows and maybe that will do it. And I'm like, well, that is ridiculous. I'm not replacing my windows because of some harmless bugs.
Do you have mostly wooden windows?
No, they're vinyl.
Really? You have all vinyl?
Yeah.
They're still getting it?
Still getting it.
Dang it.
Yeah. That's why it's like...
I have like half and half. I still need to do like half my house in vinyl.
So it's like, there's nothing like super obvious as to why they would be coming in.
Golly.
But still, they just find a way in. But I know from last year when we had this happen, it's like completely disgusting for a few days.
Yeah.
And then they'll kind of like wear themselves out. And it's really just like on the front part of our house because we get like heavy afternoon sun. So it's like pretty much like right now, probably as we're recording this, Rachel's got the vacuum out and is having to like suck up hundreds of bugs every 10 or 15 minutes.
Do the kids like not go to that part of the house? Are they like super freaked out about it?
No, I mean, not with these bugs because
are they just like whiny about
they've
it?
been like getting into the house for years. Like when I had to change out my light fixtures in like our guest room closet and stuff like that. Oh my gosh. It was
a couple
like
pounds of them in there.
It was like, well, here's where they all ended up, And so, yeah. So they're used to it, but it's just, they don't like it. It's annoying. And I don't know how many times I've had to like get up and go suck up a bug in the little vacuum thing when Joseph is trying to sleep. They love his room for whatever reason.
Oh.
He's in like the part of the house that gets the sun. And
have they ever like crawled on him?
Well, they like crawl into his room and they're like,
he's never like woken up with one on his face or anything, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, at least there's
no,
that.
but it's like he doesn't like them. But now he's almost 13. So now it's at the point where it's like we call it bug jail. It's like a little handheld like vacuum.
Oh, nice.
That's bug jail because that's like, okay, we'll spill crumbs and stuff. It's like, I don't really care about that as much.
Right.
But, the bugs, they want to do that. So, he basically keeps that in his room and then he'll just like suck it up on his own. But for, a solid decade plus, it was like every time there was a bug, he would get out of bed, come downstairs, hey, can you get this bug? And it was like, oh my gosh, okay. After I've worked all day and everything and gotten the kids to bed, and then it's like, 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock or whatever. There's a ladybug flying around on my light and it's making noise and it's crawling on my fan. And you're like, all right, buddy, let me go get okay. And then you just go do it because that's what you do as a parent. Anyway, so they're invading our house and we are having fun with that. Also, I've had some yellow jacket adventures because it's that time of year as well. So that'll actually be our fun fact today as we wrap up. So
yellow jackets?
Learned a little bit about yellow jackets. Yeah. Anyway, so yellow jackets are the worst and I hate them and they hate me and we have a contentious relationship. But yes, so here in Virginia and in many other places, but yeah, especially like in the southeastern US, they like to burrow in holes in the ground. And then when you walk near them or mow your lawn or just exist, they want to attack you because they are murderous, the spawns of Satan.
Yes.
So I was blowing some leaves over the weekend, which by the way, Ellie has like been a champ with blowing some leaves. She's all about it. So yeah, she's very motivated to do that. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. Game on. But now that I found these like yellow jackets, I was like, let's chill on that for a minute.
Yeah.
Because what happens is they burrow into, like they basically nest in like holes in the ground where like whatever, some rodent or creature or stump or anything, literally anything, they'll just like find it and burrow in there. And so then it gets covered with leaves and then you go to blow the leaves and you disturb them and then they want to destroy you.
Yep.
And they're vengeful. So, thankfully, over the weekend, I found 2 different very active nests in the ground as I was blowing leaves, one of which is like right on the edge of our driveway that we like totally walk past when we go to get our mail and everything. So I was like, well, that can't happen. And the other one was like just randomly in the middle of the yard, like not near where anybody else goes, but I was blowing leaves and I blew the leaves and I saw a ton of them flying around and I was like, let me just back on out of here and come back to that later. So I know now I'm prepared because I've done this before. I own a beekeeper suit.
Yep.
Because I've been attacked multiple times before.
Yep.
So I'm
Did
like,
you get out the flamethrower?
Okay. No, didn't do a flamethrower. That's for killing weeds. I don't do that with bugs because then I would like set my woods on fire and that would be bad.
Yeah, but it would be satisfying.
I mean, it would be gratifying in the moment, yes, but then not when I like burn my house down. No, so I know what I need to do. They're not as active at night, so you basically got to just like let them chill, go do something else, come back at night. I suit up, which I probably don't need to at night because they're not that active, but whatever, just be safe. So I'll go suit up. Do a little spray underneath that like foaming spray kind of thing. And this time I tried something different. I tried covering the hole with like a bucket and I put a stone on top of it. So I was like, I'm going to spray it and I'm going to cap it off. That way none of them can get out or whatever. Or if there's other ones, I mean, the reason you do it at night too, not only can they not fly as well at night and it's usually colder and they're cold blooded, so they don't like fly very well. But they're also like they're all like nesting. They're all in there at night. Whereas during the day, they're like, they can fly quite a distance, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, so did that, put the bucket over top of both of them. Next day, there's like tons of them flying around the buckets. I don't know what is up, they definitely didn't get out from under the bucket. But my guess is that there's either like another entrance or something, because that can happen sometimes. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find any. Or it was just other yellow jackets, because here's another lovely thing about yellow jackets. When you kill a yellow jacket, it sends out pheromones that attracts more yellow jackets. So if you're like, not only if you're trying to swat at them, do they get more aggravated, but if you actually kill it, it sends a signal to other ones that are like, seek revenge, and they'll attract more. So I think probably what was happening is there's probably other nests around, which look, it's just life, but I just don't want them in my space. God. So probably it's that when I sprayed the ones that were there, they're all like dying and stuff.
They're
probably
worst.
like sending out pheromones, and there's probably other ones that were like, what is happening here? But, you know, anytime you're messing with their nest, they get like super agitated. So I like went over to walk and kind of check the bucket, and they were like, I got video footage of it too. And it's like, there's like dozens of them like swarming around.
Evil.
We'll put I guess we can put the footage over top.
Yeah.
I know last time I did that like freaked people out, so I don't know if we'll actually do it, but I figure I can show you, Drew.
You can give them a warning.
It's yeah. So we will put some footage. If you do not like flying, buzzing thing, I don't have any audio to it, but if you don't like the bugs, then you probably should not. Oh, do I have it on here? Oh, see, I got a new phone, and I don't know if it transferred it or not. I may have to show you later.
All right.
Oh, darn, Drew. I don't have it on my phone right now, but whatever. I'll show you later.
I'll just have to watch the Pencast.
There's a bunch of them all over the place. So I was like, let me chill. And it was a beautiful day yesterday, too. I was like, I want to be working outside, but I was like, if I do, I'm going to die. So I just bid my time, and then I went back and sprayed them like 3 more times. Oh, my God. Didn't do the bucket thing this time. So when I get home today, I will get to see if there's a lady Asian beetle infestation in my house, and if there's like a swarm of angry like yellow jackets that I get to tend to. 2 swarms, because there's 2 totally different locations where these ones are. So anyway, that's my life dealing with right now. It's just what you deal with in fall. So that's why I'm like, you know what, the older I'm getting, I kind of like winter a little bit more when all the bugs die.
Same.
It's kind of nice.
I like
Don't
winter
mind
for
that.
so many reasons.
You get to wear big baggy clothing and whatever. Anyway, so that's happening. Less disgusting stuff though. I'm talking about my kids. So Halloween's coming up. This might be our last trick-or-treating with my kids.
Oh, that's right, because they're getting older.
Joseph's like 5'9" now. He looks like more like an adult than a kid.
Yeah.
And, you know, his sister is really tall too. So they're going to like be almost like 11 and 13. Next year they'll be 12 and 14.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a little beyond the age where you want to like walk around with your parents when you're like, both your kids are basically taller than Rachel.
You can always do like
so,
games in the house.
Yeah, we can still find like stuff to do. That's where you like go and do like party, you know, like festivals and like that kind of a thing. I think.
Since we didn't take him trick-or-treating in 2020 because of the pandemic, we had him dressed up in his Mandalorian costume, and we sent him on bounty hunting missions around the house.
Oh, fun.
So, and then he could, once he, you know, found the bounty or whatever, he could bring it back, and we would exchange, he could earn coins and exchange those in a little shop, and he could buy little
That's fun.
candies and treats and stuff like that. So, I mean, you could always do something like that. You can find ways that they can still dress up as a character and then do some sort of game as that character.
That sounds fun.
There are ways, because they still deserve to have some fun if they want to.
Yeah. See, for us though, like our neighborhood, it's really small, very rural. Yeah. There's no trick-or-treating happening in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Plus you would get killed by yellow jackets. But
we're going to try to do our neighborhood for the first time this year. We've never done it in our neighborhood. We've always gone over friends' neighborhoods. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. We're going to like all their friends live in like more of an actual neighborhood. Right. So like they'll go over there. So it's like, if we don't go out of our way to do something, like Halloween is not happening to us where we live. Like, you know, I think like if you get past the age where you're like trick-or-treating as a kid, this is in the US at least, but you know, you can still like, things are happening in your neighborhood. Yeah. You can like hand out candy and you can still see all the people you know. That doesn't happen for us.
It's not going to happen for me either, because I still haven't replaced my front porch lights.
Oh gosh.
They're still out.
So people are going to be like, who's this Halloween Grinch?
It's going to be an unwelcome home.
Oh gosh. True.
Yeah.
You could set out a flashlight or something, you know, do something.
Nah.
Maybe.
Nah.
Just lean into it.
They're fine.
The last thing I had, so my kids started playing chess. That's been a recurring theme.
That's right.
They have kept up with it. Like every night they've wanted to play.
Have you gotten Rachel to play yet?
I'm working on it.
I know you are.
Working on it. There's a crack in the door yesterday.
Is there really?
Yeah. I'm not joking.
Okay.
Rachel won't see this. Don't tell her. but I'm on a mission. This isn't a surprise. She knows. I've been pestering for years. Anyway, my whole backstory to chess. So I learned how to play chess in like summer camp as a kid. I started when I was 9. So it was like my summer camp thing, but my parents didn't really know how to play or whatever. My sister kind of did, but we didn't really play it much. So that was totally my thing and I liked it, but then I kind of didn't really have many people to play with after that. So I had computer games back then, but they kind of sucked, so it's like, I really didn't have fun chess opponents to play with basically since summer camp, since I was probably 14, 15. So I've kind of been waiting.
So you
for 23 years.
You liked the game long enough to have had a longing for it.
Yeah, it wasn't super active longing because I guess I could have played it in college or whatever. But it's I always liked the game, but never enough to be the champion to get other people into it because I didn't have that firm an establishment in it. But I always enjoyed it.
Whenever the opportunity presented itself, you got excited.
Yeah, I'd be kind of into it. Yeah. So now that the kids have expressed interest, I'm like, let me watch some YouTube videos on this and kind of learn some more about this. And now, oh my gosh, what a rabbit hole. There's so many chess. Wow. I mean, chess has been around for a very long time, very established, worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
It's it makes even Rubik's Cube stuff is pales in comparison to chess tournaments and all this kind of stuff.
A lot of deep dive opportunity.
Yeah. And I'm like, ooh, this is too deep. I just want to learn how to play some stuff. So I watch videos about how chess openings and, stuff like that. Had some good recommendations from fans of ours to hey, check out this book, check out, this whatever thing. So getting a little bit into it, but I knew it was a milestone because my kids, they're kind of good at it. I was like, I don't think it's going to be too long before they can beat me. Well, we hit a milestone already after a week.
Did one beat you?
They both beat me.
They both beat you.
Last
and you were
night,
trying your hardest.
I gave them some so we're still in learning mode. I'm not full on I'm going to destroy you mode, where you're putting on that face.
Yeah.
And I'm still coaching them through it. We're talking through, I'm letting them make the decision about every piece they do, but I'm kind of talking through okay, I'm going to move my piece here. See what that's going to do over here. So if you move this here and and I kind of talk through and then I let them make the choice. So I'm
you're still trying your hardest,
coaching,
but you're also playing against yourself.
But I'm not oh, I'm going to give them this piece so that they can whatever. But no, legitimately, they're doing some stuff and I'm like, oh crap. I do a move and then they take it and I'm like, I didn't see that. Dang it. Cause I'm not that great at it, but good enough. But yeah, they both legitimately last night, they both legitimately beat me. And I was high five and I'm I was so happy for them, and they were all proud too. Cause they've been playing it with their friends. Their cousin came over this weekend and they played it with him.
Okay.
And so
this is a thing in the Goulet household.
Playing each other now. Yeah. So there's that's why I'm
you still playing on the Mario
working
set?
On Rachel. Still with the Mario set. It's the only chess set we own.
Nice.
But I found an app on my phone that I can play it against the, CPU, whatever.
If you knew somebody that was into woodworking, you'd think that you'd be able to get a set carved.
I mean, see, I don't do any carving.
You don't do any carving?
I don't do any carving. It's just, it's I don't know. I could.
Are you more into the wood, mathematical science and engineering aspect, less into the art aspect?
I mean, the artistic stuff I've done has been wood turning, on a lathe.
Yeah.
Carving is I'm not opposed to it or anything, but carving is its own kind of sub niche. Kind of if you're into fountain pens, but there's calligraphy with Spencerian and crazy stuff. You're oh, that's a whole kind of other thing. That's kind of what carving is in the woodworking world.
Gotcha.
Because you can carve other stuff too, not just wood.
Yeah.
If you're a carver, wood is just one of the mediums you can carve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I totally respect it, but it's the amount of time that it would take me to learn how to do it well. I don't know. It's one of the more tedious woodworking projects to have out there.
I'm sure.
I'm maybe I'll make it at some point. But again, when have I ever had incentive to do it before? Because no one's ever wanted to play. So I'm why would I make a chess set and just build this time-consuming thing that then would just sit there and taunt me?
I bet you'd probably have an easier and more fun time with the board. Doing the mixed woods.
That I could have fun with.
Yeah.
If I was going to do it, that's probably what I'd do. I'd buy pieces and then make my own board.
Yeah.
That would be fun. But even that's annoying because wood expands and contracts based on moisture, and it expands on its width more than its length. So when you make something into a checkerboard, it's incredibly unstable because you think you're basically constricting
it's expanding
all these
in every
things.
direction.
Yeah. So you basically, in order to make a chessboard, you basically have to veneer it. So it's a lot more steps. It's pretty complicated. It's a whole art form, but yeah, it's kind of annoying. I just haven't really done it. But anyway, it would be kind of cool. We'll see. One day, maybe, probably. I don't know. That's all I have to say about that.
Awesome.
All right, we got a quick company update, and then we're going to wrap this sucker up. All right, well, we have some exciting videos that are going to be coming down the works. We'll just tease those out a little bit. We're going to try and get one done this Wednesday. Didn't quite cross the finish line.
No, but it's going to be good when it does.
So it will be good. Yeah. It's TWSBI one.
Instead, I'm probably just gonna share our Halloween candy discussion from last week. So
Yeah.
you can skip that over if you've already seen it. But
but I did like a comprehensive TWSBI brand overview where I cover like basically every model in TWSBI product. So that is epic, and it's taking forever to review because there's a million different TWSBIs and they all are very similar in some ways. So anyway, we'll get that out soon. But the more exciting thing that we have is we have an open position at Goulet Pens
that doesn't happen every day.
on the marketing team. So for better or for worse,
Which is
this human will be working with us.
kind of our team.
Yeah, it is. Not kind of. I mean, it is.
Well, yeah,
I mean, I transcend
you're on
single team.
leadership team and this
I'm heavily
team,
involved. Yeah, for sure. So
our morning meetings are with the marketing team.
Absolutely. So basically what this position is, you can check out the details on our site and apply there, send people there who you know would be interested and qualified for it. Basically looking for a marketing specialist. So it's essentially like a project manager coordinator type. So not somebody who's like video personalities necessarily like us, but somebody who's helping to kind of grease the wheels behind the scenes. There's a lot of details, a lot of timelines, a lot of bits of communication stuff that has to be kind of organized and kept moving along with our various video and photo projects. And this is something that this person would focus on entirely, is all the details and keeping things moving. So yeah, should be pretty fun and interesting. And, mostly content creation kind of stuff that we are doing, all related to fountain pens. So if you're into that or you know somebody who's into it, please apply. And we are accepting applicants right now as of this posting. I mean, the video posting, it won't be forever, but at some point we'll fill the position, but this video will still be out is what I'm getting at. But anyway, if you're interested, please let us know. All right. And I think that's all we got for this week, Drew.
That's it.
A little shorty.
Little shorty, yeah.
Fun size.
But we will be back next week.
We will.
So the length, you're going to have 2 fun-sized Pencast instead of
That's right.
an absence of one.
Or you could save this one up and watch the 2 back-to-back. If you're like, no, I want only an extremely long, drawn-out Pencast, you can kind of get that.
But this way, when you're doing the dishes, you'll be able to do them. Maybe you won't have as much time to clean and do the dishes, but you'll have enough time to get something kind of clean.
I mean, hopefully it doesn't take an hour and 19 minutes to get your dishes done. That's a lot of dishes. Though I've done that. I washed dishes in college. That was part of my
That's right.
That's part of my job. Yeah. I've washed dishes for 7 to 8 hours straight before. It gets old.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please give us some feedback about how we're doing. Ask us some questions in the comments and we will answer them, maybe. And you can check out Goulet Pens for all of the stuff that we talk about. Email us at pencast@gouletpens.com if you're an audio human. And my fun facts are about yellow jackets. They're kind of fun. They're kind of gross. I just researched it a lot and I was like, well, we're just going to do this. Okay. So yellow jackets are the most aggressive this time of year because food sources are dwindling as the cold weather is approaching.
Makes sense.
But their colony has been growing. So you kind of get like the worst of all worlds, more of them and less of food. The entire colony will actually die off in the winter except for the queen. So didn't know that. They do not hibernate except the queen. And the queen establishes a new colony every year in the spring.
I did not know that.
There you go. Yellow jacket colonies can be anywhere from 1,500 to 15,000 wasps strong, with a nest that can range in size from something that could fit in the palm of your hand to something that could fill the inside of a car and weigh over a ton. But most are around the size of a basketball.
In the ground?
They can be in the ground. They usually, there's different types of them, which I'm actually going to get to next. So the Vespula species builds their nests underground. These are probably the ones that I'm dealing with. While the Dolichovespula species usually have exposed nests. These are like, they're kind of like in the paper wasp family. So they'll usually have it like in a bush or like up in a tree, or sometimes they can even like build them in like the walls of your house. Like they can find holes and build them like inside your house, which is just nightmare fuel. That happens, I think, more like out west. You get more of those. I think the underground ones, the underground ones are terrifying too, because just the vibration from your lawnmower or you walking by can disturb them and they come out and attack you.
That's what happened to me.
With nothing visible.
Yep.
Yeah. It's basically the worst, and they're all terrible. So they typically consume meat protein. So, and actually like their larvae actually consume protein, which is pretty unusual. Normally they just consume sugars like bees, honey and sugar and stuff. But no, they consume protein because they are Satan incarnate. But they'll also turn to sugars, especially towards the late summer months, which is why you see them around like barbecues and picnics and these types of things.
Yeah.
So anywhere where there's meat and sugar, which is like all the things that humans eat, they will come and get super aggressive and be the worst and ruin everything. I was trying to be fair. Like, do they do any good? I mean, they do eat other pest insects. So especially if you garden and all that, they can eat other pests. So that's kind of good.
Don't they eat better pests?
But they also eat honeybees and they also eat other things. They're pretty indiscriminate. And to round it out, I said they're also the absolute spawns of Satan, and they feed on the joy of others and will attack without mercy with very little provocation. So,
yep. If we've covered one thing, I think we've covered that.
There you go. That's my fun fact for today about yellow jackets.
That's not fun.
So there you go. That's that's what we have around here in Virginia. But what are you gonna do? Kill them. That's what you're gonna do. Try to. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. We'll catch you on the next one. Right on.